Alrighty, fellas, what is up? We are here to celebrate the end of the PokeMMO Halloween event season. I hope you guys have made tons of Pokeyen, gotten your vanities, gotten what you need. I have been putting in the hours on the Ironman account. I think I've put in, I think I started at like 13 hours, 1,013. So if I have 1,000, I'm going to end with 1,140. Minus 1,013. I means I put in 127 hours over the past 14 days or so, and that is with, I've had a lot of IRL stuff pop up, so apologies. I've missed you guys. I haven't been live over this final week of the event, and I'm so sorry. And there's more things things popped up. It's kind of how it is, but I'm honored to be able to be here today to end out the event, have a lot of fun. I'm gonna be opening my final goodie bags on the Ironman account. The progress we made is just amazing. I would love to get an ultra rare before the event is over. We do have 2 quick catch events to cover. Tom wanted to link out, is this a new shiny? He wanted to show me his new shiny Ledybah from I love shiny Ledybah. Oh my god, these IVs are terrible, but congratulations. Wow, the double ones and double one, double three. What a weird, and Safari caught. This is a weird shiny. Congratulations, Tom. Anyways, I want to show off. There are 2 catch events coming up. There's a Dunsparce catch event on the 15th of November. At 3 p.m. ET at 3 Island Port Channel 1 in Kanto. Dunsparce, the Pokemon, you're going to catch him in the puzzle. You get a shiny Dunsparce Chance. Really good Pokemon, really good shiny. Could save some Pokeyen and time on a shunt. Next up is a Kricketune catch event coming on the 16th of November. So right as the event ends, there's 2 catch events back to back. This one's at 1 a.m. ET at Dreamyard Unova. You can catch Kricketune, Liepard, Raticate, or Muna. And then win yourself a shiny Kricketot, which is a cool shiny in my opinion, kind of an underrated one. One that some people will get as a fail though, so one that not everybody might want to go for. But the most exciting thing today is we can go check over at the gift shop. We can see there is 2 hours and 6 minutes left in the event. Some things will remain afterwards, and it's always hard to tell what. You shouldn't be able to grind. I think like kids won't spawn anymore, mini bosses, like things like that. All of that will be done. But if you have any leftover spooky candies, I think you can trade those in for goodie bags, I believe. However, I don't think you can fight the Pumpking after tonight, but I could be wrong. I could always be wrong. But there's a lot of stuff to be excited about. I want to check the market. Where is the economy at? The market's been all over the place, and I haven't been able to watch it enough. To be honest with you, I have not been able to keep my eye on the market as much during this event because I've been playing my Ironman account. It's just not a piece of the game that pops up as much for me. We can see things like spooky candies tanking down to 2k a piece. Oh my, which makes sense because they're about to become unusable in the game. Special candies still down, but also holding some value because people can buy them for cheap and grind the Pumpkin right now towards the end of the event. We're going to check all the vanities. I want to go ahead and check what is like the ultra rares. I haven't checked those in a few days. I've been off of stream. Green Slime has doubled in value, no? Tremendously gone up in value. Yeah, it was at 2.6 mil a few days ago, up to 3.9 mil. Will that hold? That's the question. That could be some end of event kind of FOMO popping up. Deer Skull going up. A lot of the ultra rares. Wow. Going up in value here. Mermaid Hair up a mil, up to 6 mil. Costume up a few 100k, up to 800k. That's what I wanted to see. I was saying this whole event season, the market's been down for a lot of reasons, and like arguably oversupply. But I've wanted to see Strange Tentacles where they're still at. I am shocked to see how cheap these are. But are these up actually? They're up. They're actually up 30%. They just got down so low. There's 139 in stock. I'm keeping an eye on these. I have not made my investments on my main account, which is not good. You never want to be investing final day. But the honest answer is I also don't know if I'm going to be investing anything at all into this event. I think this event was very controversial. A lot of players were very frustrated. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but there's a lot of understandable and good argumentation to be concerned and stuff, like but with the market. Look at these. Wait a minute. Let me get my... Wait, these guys? Is this the first group of Ironmen to get Cresselia? Is that what this is? Talk about headliner news. I wish stuff like this was shouted out to the heavens. I wish it was there was a giant blaring message on everybody's screen across the entire game when the first people defeat Cresselia, when the first Ironmen defeat Cresselia. I mean, this is amazing. There were a few Ironmen that I know of. Did you get the particle effect? Yes. There were a few Ironmen that I know of who wanted to complete the event, who wanted to get to, what's it called? Wanted to get to Cresselia's fast enough to be able to get the particle on them before the event is over, which is a really, really cool. They had to make these Pokemon from scratch, make the whole teams. It's just so impressive to breed everything from scratch. To do that as an Ironman account is insane. It's far and above and beyond what I did in the event, you know? And it's good to shout out these guys because they don't have YouTube channels. They're doing really fucking cool stuff in the game, and that's what it's all about. It's so fucking cool, man. PokeMMO is such a social game that relies on hyping up others, in my opinion, following others' journeys, being invested in their journeys, and then trying to use that to propel your own product. I think that's why, part of why the Iron Man series succeeds to any extent, because people are invested in my journey, and I try to get invested in there as much as I can, and it's just cool to see everybody, and like the shiny hunting teams, like it's cool to see everybody kind of working together, hyping each other up and building each other up, which is what you love to see in the PokeMMO community. So I will see you guys with any more questions, any more talking points, cool news. Let's just jump into the stream recap. Thank you for watching. Like if you enjoyed, dislike if not, and subscribe. Dude, I think this is a really beautiful, a realistic thing to talk about. A lot of people are saying, I can't wait for the event to be over. Not in like a mean way. People who are saying they can't wait for the event to be over are the people who grinded the event the most. Paisley saying he played 640 Halloween randoms games. He's completely burnt out. Dude, yeah, understandably. Holy crap, man. I think so many people, when events come around, you're so excited. You're like, how am I going to get to everything? It's so much to do, all these things, right? And then by the end of them, you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I'm burnt out. Please let it be over. I don't want to feel like pressure to grind. Like, and that's a good thing. I think if you are burnt out by the end of an event, it means you really put in the effort and put in the work and put in the grind. And please take a break. Please don't keep grinding through that. Don't get me wrong. Take a break, you know, play it, you know, and then try to get ready for the Christmas event. And that's where the hard part comes in, is how much do you burn yourself out? How much is okay? Like and everybody, maybe some people don't want to get burnt out at all. I'm not saying everybody should play like this, but it just depends on. I think it's cool to acknowledge the real big grinders who burn themselves out, but you gotta stay consistent. If you're burning yourself out for months, it's not worth it. PokeMMO is a marathon, not a sprint, and it is okay at times to burn yourself out for a week or so to put in 2 weeks of like insane progress, especially like during events when it's like a limited thing, right? But you don't want to be burning yourself out permanently or for like 3 months after the first event. That's tough. But also, it's just, you know, balancing. Everyone needs to find the right balance of fun, efficiency. It's just whatever makes the game the best for you. But I'm just trying to. It's kind of beautiful in my opinion, the amount of people who are like, who have played the event so much and have loved it, but are ready for it to be over. You know, they're just ready for the next chapter. Do servers usually go down to stop the event? Great question. Not historically, to my knowledge. From what I recall, I could be going from memory, right? Usually they just like, I think, I could be wrong, like you just can't, kids just stop spawning. Halloween swarms stop spawning. You can no longer fight the pumpkin. I think it just kind of it just ends, from what I recall. But we'll see what happens today, you know? Does the market tend to get sluggish after Halloween? This is my first event. Great question. Yes, it absolutely does. Before and after events, markets tend to slow down, and it's because prior to events, people are saving up their Pokeyen to make investments during the event. Post events, people have spent all their Pokeyen on the investments, so there's just not a whole lot of liquidity prior to and post events. But there is infinite liquidity, and the market is moving very quickly during the events themselves. That's a great question. So yeah, if you are looking, it's why it's tough right now in PokeMMO to make Pokeyen. It's more making Pokeyen, in my opinion, outside of the event. During the event, it's great. Outside of the event, I feel like making Pokeyen is more static than it's ever been, where it's more important to just do pure money making, pure yen methods like Jimmy runs and Trainer runs, which is not great. I've said this before, but I know a lot of people are upset, so I want to put it out there. For those who haven't heard me say this, if the devs don't do something to nerf alphas or affect the market in some way, I will be doing a riot at the end of event season. I'm giving them until the end of the Lunar New Year event. I'm giving them like the full event season, but I think a change has to happen this year. I think catching for profit and just Pokemon values are just too low, and I don't think it's healthy. It's not good for new players because their Pokemon don't hold value. It's good for them at first, but it's not good long term, and those new players will become, you know, medium level players and endgame players. It's also bad for new players because they can't really catch Pokemon to make profit, you know? When you spend, you know, 2K or whatever catching a Ditto and it comes out 31 special attack and it's worth 6K and you pay a listing fee, you're only making like 2K, 3K per Ditto. That's with a 31. That's brutal. You know, 31 Dittos are just not even worth you'd rather just sell them in a Ditto box. A lot of these Dittos, you know, that's not good. So I'm excited to hopefully see a change. Let's jump into this little PvP match. This is a great question. It's going to be different per person. I'm just giving you like a somewhat of a baseline. Someone said, hey, Pat, this is my first ever event season, and I made almost 25 mil yen right now if I were to sell my investments. Is that solid or typical? I think that is solid and above the pack. Congratulations. I think if you can make 1 million Pokeyen a day during the event, that's really good. If you can make like 14, 15 mil over the course of an event, that's, in my opinion, like you did a really good job. That's, I would say, like not average, but it's like a really good, you worked hard, you know? There are going to be like you made 25 mil, congrats. If you made 30, once you start pushing like 30 mil plus, that's where I feel like you like really excelled. And like there's going to be people who made, there are people who make hundreds of mil, you know, with alt account. Like, it gets crazy, don't get me wrong, but I think if you've made 15 mil a day, or 15 mil, not a day, 15 mil over the course of the event, nice job. If it's your first, if it's your first ever event and you made 5 mil, 3 mil, your first 1 mil, like whatever it is, whatever you can do, that's amazing in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not really saying anything too interesting, but I think it's an important reminder to not like compare, because your first event season is the hardest. Not only can you like, what's it called? Not only is it like hard to do everything, but you're also learning everything. Your next event season, you'll remember a lot of the content. You'll know how swarms work. You'll know how the pumpkin boss works. Like every year it gets easier and easier, and you get better and better and better, and you can focus your energy on other things, more complicated things like investments. You can't really focus your energy on investments in your first ever event season. There's just too much else going on. I would say first event season, build capital. Second event season, try to make investments is my personal, usually my advice. 1 mil a day. It should take about 3 to 4 hours of grinding a day to make a mil a day. Well, if you're playing within the first few hours, early on, you can do more than that. Like you should be making like probably 300k Pokeyen profit per hour ish while playing the event. At different, it depends on the times of the, like there's been times where it's like down to like 200k, you know, it depends on the timing, depends what you've been doing, what you have access to, etc. Depends obviously on a ton of things, but great question. No, yeah, a real question from Mysterious Balls. There's definitely more supply compared to last year, but would you consider them better than last year? I think these are one of the best Dusk Balls we've seen. I think the fact that they contain alpha fossils, which people will want in their own right, let alone a shalfa chance of them, is insane. If I were to invest in anything, I don't know if I'm touching this event, to be honest with you. Or rather, I'm banking on, now this is a risky thing, but it pays off really high if it works. I think that there were so many new players this event season. I'm actually going to be, I'm not going to invest in much or anything in this event on the main account. I think I'm going to be banking on players making the mistake of selling their investments from this event when Christmas comes. And we see that every year. We see it every year where we see a lot of new players who make investments into the Halloween stuff and they don't hold it. They panic sell when Christmas comes because they want to sell that stuff to buy the new stuff. So if these prices drop during Christmas, I'll probably pick some up, but I'm not going to pick them up at this price personally, but I respect you if you do. It's not like, you know, I just don't feel super confident in this event because of how controversial it was. It arguably should be the opposite, because some people were so upset about the event they didn't play the event. It might even decrease, you know, like the event. Like this event is going to be Halloween's historically one of the worst events to invest into, but this could be like this could be a Bitcoin flip one. This event is so interesting. I think this is we're not acknowledging this is a real moment in PokeMMO history. This is a weird event that had a lot of really good event activities, but it came at a time where the community kind of needed one thing and it got a different thing, and that understandably made a lot of people really upset. I think there's a lot of tension, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger in the community. I think it's kind of cooling off. I don't want to like rile it back up. I think a lot of people are cooling off now that the event is ending, which is nice. I think people, every time events happen or shiny wars happen, there's always like drama and stress and all these things because people are sleep deprived. They're playing the event a tons of hours. They're sleep deprived. They're stressed. So sometimes that comes out in not so nice ways. That does not change the fact that we need market updates, but I'm interested to see the future. I'm interested to see how we look back at this event in the future. This is a really historical Halloween event in my opinion, whether you like it or not, you know. I think this market is gonna be one of the most interesting ones in my opinion. I totally flopped the Halloween event, had crazy life stuff happen. Firstly, I'm sorry. That sucks. I totally get it. Much love to you. Secondly, that sucks. I'm really sorry. Hopefully you can make the Christmas event or the next event. That's the good news, is that it's only the first event of the event season. I think a lot of people are going to be burning themselves out too quickly. A lot of people just aren't going to be, ready, prepared, yada, 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 kind of forgetting that there's a whole nother event coming up in a month, like maybe a month and a half, It's going to come up faster than we think, in my opinion. But also, speaking of IRL stuff, the toughest part about the Christmas event is that people are usually really fucking busy IRL. That's why, it's one of the hardest events to play, in my opinion, because you're with your family for Christmas, you know, or buying presents, wrapping presents, like decorating. There's so much to do. Cooking food. Thanksgiving is coming. Like, there's so much to do IRL that it's not always easy to focus on PokeMMO, you know? So that's why it's so important to prepare ahead of event season, like even starting. That's why I try to tell people to prepare for Christmas, if possible, prior to Halloween, prior to even the, you know, that event kicking off, because there's just so much going on IRL for most people, you know? Sorry you missed the Halloween event. Hopefully the Christmas one brings you some good Pokeyen and good progress. I'm so glad you brought this up, Exodos. I hope they bring back the Elfbot dungeon this year. For those who don't know, the Elfbot was like a really fan-beloved piece of content that used to exist that would get you the elf vanities. And it was kind of like it's a dungeon activity similar to Abundant Shrine. And they got rid of it in the last 2 years or so, last 1 or 2 years, because they ran out of Elfbot vanities. Now, last year, I had to go back and watch my old videos to remember this, and I talked about this. If you watched my how to prepare for the event season in PokeMMO, you maybe have seen this piece of content, but the developers talked about potentially bringing back the Elfbot dungeon. No confirmation. This was like a year ago conversation, you know, keep that in mind, but it was discussed. It was potentially talked about. It is possible we see Elfbots brought back this year, and that would be really fucking cool. So many new players would be introduced to like a beloved piece of content that existed for so long. I don't know if I would love to see North Pole is a good question. Does the community want the North Pole back? That's a complicated one, because a lot of people collect North Pole OT Pokemon, like not OT, but North Pole caught date Pokemon, right? And that's, if you bring it back, that devalues that, but you would still have the like 2012 or 2013 North Pole caught mons versus the 2025 plus, right? So you still have that distinction. I think it would be fun. I don't know. I'm curious I'm curious to see what people would think. Would kill the rarity? It's an interesting question. I don't know. Would it kill? Because obviously it would add a new supply, but that supply would be 2025 plus. Do people care about that or the old? I don't know. It's tough. Currently, like the North Pole was a location in the game that only existed during the Christmas event, where you could go like catch Pokemon. People have like North Pole shinies from back then. That's like the really rare shit. It was a really cool piece of content. I remember going to the North Pole way back in like 2013, 2014. I wish I took screenshots, but it was a really cool place in PokeMMO. If they bring back the shiny boost, Suicune raid, plus all the other raids and presents, it would be a little bit too much content, you think, for Elfbots? I think that's fair. I don't think they're going to bring back the shiny boost. I could be wrong. I think that we don't know this for sure. I'm speculating. But I think that they're going to end up moving. In previous years, they've had like a 10%, 20% shiny boost for wild mons during Christmas, which I think is, you know, I didn't like it at first, but they rebalanced it to not work on eggs and stuff like that. So I think that's good. But so now I kind of, it's fun. I respect it, whatever, right? I enjoy it. But I think they moved that to the Shiny Wars. So I don't know if they'll do I really doubt they'll do a boost for Shiny Wars and Christmas. That'd be a lot in my opinion, but I'm sure a lot of people would be very happy. I'm sure a lot of casual players would be very happy. So like, it's one of those things, like, is the balance hit worth the casual happiness? It might be. Like, that's the other, you know, I don't want those boosts being, I don't want to be having like a ton of shiny boosts all the time, because the problem, if you don't know, the problem with having shiny boosts in a game like PokeMMO is that it makes it so the most efficient time to shiny hunt is during those boosts. So it's better to like not, and they balanced it around this when I made this critique, thankfully. But the problem previously was that if you like were an egg hunter, it would literally be inefficient. Like, you would literally just like egg hunts, you would save all of your dittos, save all your resources until Christmas, and then only egg shunt then, and that would feel terrible to like not be able to egg shunt all year round, because you want to play efficiently, which sucks, right? There's a similar problem in like RuneScape 3, where most people like keep all of their like all their like really high XP stuff for double XP weekends. This is like, they used to, I don't know anymore, they used to back in the day, right? It's not really healthy gameplay. You don't want people to feel like they have to save stuff for these double XP weekends. You want them to be able to play the game the way they want to year round, right? So that was my problem initially with it, but they rebalanced it. So they made it so that only wild mons have that advantage, which is totally good. Like, if it's just like, oh yeah, if you like time swipe horde, sure, why not? It only saves like 3 hours or so, like a few hours within a full shiny hunt, right? It's not that much time save. The question you have to ask then is like, how many shiny boosts are you okay with every year? 2 might be my limit. 3 would be too much in my opinion. Even 2 might be too much, but we're all speculating. We'll have to see. I don't think they'll return the shiny boost for Christmas, but I could be wrong. We'll have to see. What in the panic buy is going on with the blood particle? It is up 60% in the past 7 days, up 23% in the past. I have not heard anybody talk about this. I'm not a huge fan of this particle effect personally. This is a pretty healthy price. I really like the, but there's also things like the shiny Kanto that like, I don't, actually, no, I'm sorry. Isn't that like, wait, isn't this like ridiculously cheap for a premium, for the premium particle effect? Look at like the shining Kanto Friends, which is like a similar rarity one, if I recall correctly, is currently 2 mil. What's another similar, I don't know if this is like as rare. I really liked the howling, I really like the eerie howl particle effect from 2021 Halloween. Kind of edgy with a little, but it's, I think it's cool. Shiny Dark Crystal, also about 400k. Interesting. And that's from last year, so that's like, okay. But I wasn't a huge fan. I think the visuals, I wasn't a huge fan of this one either personally, but it's up to, it's person to person. Interesting to see the difference. Yeah, green slime is increasing. You will see a lot of things. I would say towards at the end of an event, you will either see certain stuff go up, certain, like this is up 63% in the last 7 days. Is crazy. 25% today. That final day market movement is some of the craziest stuff, and it will not hold. I think a lot of people are going to panic buy stuff now, and then after the event is over, dump it. A few weeks later, when they realize they have to prepare for Christmas or they want to do something else, they're going to start dumping investments. They usually don't. Shiny Phantom Standard Kit, good. I love, thank you for the call. This is a cooler one. I think it just really makes sense. I think what particle effects might be one of the most like how cool it is equals the price out of anything versus like Vanity's rarity factors in a lot more in my opinion, but also how cool it is obviously matters. Obviously, I love the mermaid hair. I love all the ultra res are just so good, dude. Okay, that's for, apparently someone's quoting GM Revs. You should be able to turn in swarms for 3 days after the end of the event. Okay, that's good news if true. Thank you for the heads up. I don't think swarms will continue spawning is the only thing, so you have to factor that in, but that's good to know. If you want to like wait for rotations or see if you can turn in specific mods, you can do that if you want to. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Rich's Charms. Someone said buy Rich's Charms because they're so cheap right now because they're being brought in via sealed product. There's a few questions you want to ask yourself. Number one, how low can they go? Number two, keep in mind they will be brought back with more sealed product during the Christmas event. But number three, everybody's going to be doing gym reruns and building Pokeyen via pure yen methods from now until the Christmas event. So like, there's a lot of I don't know the answer. I don't know whether you should buy them or not. I have no idea. But it's a question of, there's like the 3 main factors to factor in. How many people will be grinding from now until the next event? How many people will be, thank you for the gifted sub, Toad, over to Xanarchy. How many people will, how many came in, how many are selling, how many are holding? There's a lot of factors, and you have to just make your own. Rich's Charm is what I would call a short-term investment, where you do plan to buy it within like a certain period and sell it within like 3 to 6 months. That's like there's like short-term investments and then long-term. Long-term, you have a lot more potential for profit. Short-term is lesser profit, but obviously you hold it for less time. Things like rare candies, things like any like thing that comes in the game in high supply during the event. TMs is like another one to keep it like. I used to buy a bunch of like flamethrower TMs, like things like that, on the main account whenever an event like brought a ton of those in the game. You could buy them for like 8k and then go up to like 30k eventually, or 25k. There's a lot of options for investments, and I've talked about this a lot in my videos in the past, and I have a video for this year's Halloween event investing guide, and I'll try to do one for the Christmas event as well. I'm gonna turn in my final swarm mons here though. Dude, I had not checked prices on these yet. It makes total sense. Holy. Alpha Rampardos, they're only from the new Dusk Balls. The cheapest Alpha Rampardos, 400k. The cheapest Alpha Caracosta, 100k. How is it that? That's interesting. Ooh, okay. I wonder if people are sleeping on these. I wonder if this could be the next. I don't know. Please don't take this and run with it and go crazy. But I wonder if this will be the next Alpha starters. They come from Mysterious Balls, so it's different. And people are smarter now. Back with the Alpha starters, I think people were like literally breeding the alphaness off of them as well. Like, people just didn't care. Check High Dragon. People want Shalfa High Dragon that's crazy, that bad. I think it's really interesting. I kind of think they're being neglected as an investment opportunity. Froggy is the FOMO Froggy hype. Let's go. Froggy stonks up 40% in the past 1 hour. Let's go, Froggy owners. Shout out to all the Froggies out there. Only 38 in stock. What the hell? A lot of market changes happening last minute. The event literally ends in 6 minutes. Where it is 6:59 p.m. on my clock. It should tick down. Look at the world clock up. It should tick down to 7 p.m. I don't even know if we'll see a change. in 2 seconds. 1 second. It is now 7 p.m. Let's see if we see changes. The gift shop items are gone. Gift shop vanities are immediately gone. I bet you if I walk in and out of the PC, the pumpkins. The Pumpking has been defeated, but it's still collecting the last of this year's candy, turning your spooky candy and goodie bags. Yada, yada, yada. There it is, boys. There it is. Goodbye Halloween event. The first ever event I was able to do on my Iron Man account. I had a lot of fun. I know it was a controversial one. There was a lot of tension. Hopefully, we see more positive updates in the future of PokeMMO. I love this event. I love the new rotational battles. I think PvP players having a way to make Pokeyen, which was fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to walk in. I think if I walk in the PC and walk back out, the pumpkins will be gone. Yeah, there it is. The Pumpkin will still be there, but all the pumpkins are gone. Oh. Oh, that's a bug. Wait, there's a visual bug. Wait, there's a... Wait, that's awesome. There's a visual bug. The Pumpkin is gone, but he's still there. Wait, that's so weird. Or no, can I talk? Is there an NPC? Is that what it is? Let's see. I think the player rendered is 2. Oh, what is this NPC? I can't even see them because there's too many people. There's like a little NPC that you can turn in. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. That's it, boys. GG, another event in the books. Congrats to everyone who prepared and put in the time and the grinds. One of my favorite things every event is seeing people being like, oh, you know, this is my first ever event and I made this much Pokeyen, or I grinded this, or you know, it's really fucking cool to see new players have a chance to pop off and show what they can do and like grind. And I think it was a great event overall. I would give it like I would give this event like an 8 out of 10 overall, maybe like a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. There were some updates that were questionable, that were out of left field, but I really enjoyed it overall. I think the content was fun. Zenarchy says there was over 152,000 unique messages sent over in the Discord. That's crazy. That's wild. A lot of crazy things. All right, but that's what it is, fellas. That's the event. That's Halloween coming to a close. I'll see you guys for the Christmas event, you know. Yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. I'll see you guys realistically. When I will see you guys is probably Monday for streams, but that is up for, we'll have to see what happens. But thank you guys for watching. Let's go ahead and take our nice break. Please take a break if you've grinded this event. We need it. I know that I need one. I'll see you guys later. For now, peace, Reno.
Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here, and I wanted to take this time to say thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond and supports my channel. Your names are all listed here. You make it possible for me to make helpful and mildly entertaining content for the game that I love and make it available for free for everyone to enjoy. Thank you so much for allowing me to even be here.